Hello, everyone. I am Scotty Powell here, along with Frank Strait. We are with the Carolina Weather Group, here to provide you wall-to-wall coverage tonight as Hurricane Isaias is bearing down on the Carolina coast. And Frank, we just got the 8 p.m. advisory out, and it looks like we have now seen Isaias. I'm not even going to pronounce it. Our new our storm out there has Isaias has been upgraded from a tropical storm to a hurricane. I think you have the latest 8 p.m. advisory.
Sure do. It is now a hurricane with maximum sustained winds 75 miles an hour. As we were talking about last night, if it strengthened only a little bit, it would become a hurricane. That's happened in the last couple of hours here, and it's safe to say that over this afternoon, the storm organization's gotten a little bit better. It's sure looking like a hurricane on weather radar. Looking at the Charleston radar here, you can see an eye features formed with a nice little ring going most of the way around the storm anyway. So we certainly do have a hurricane now, and it looks as though it'll be making landfall over the next few hours somewhere close to where the North Carolina South Carolina line intersects the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes, Frank, we do. We also have just had a newly issued tornado warning. Let me get the screen share here button going, and we'll kind of look at this on radar. So let me screen share that. Get over here to my second monitor and kind of show you where this warning is going to be located. This is going to be coming in off of the Southport area. If you're familiar with Southport, that is a tourist destination, especially this time of the year with a lot of vacationers out along the Southport area. This tornado warning is for eastern Brunswick County. This goes until 8:15. And Frank, normally when we see these tornado warnings issued for tropical systems, they're kind of short-lived warnings, and that's what this warning is going to be issued for just until 8:15. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Yapun Beach, moving northwest at 45 miles per hour. So that's going to be moving into the Southport area, Old Bald Head Island, another location in that area. And Frank, looking at this rotation, we could even see new warnings pop up here inland as we see these bands start to move into the Grand Strand, the southeastern coast of North Carolina. This is going to be kind of the story all night, where we're going to see these bands of rain and storms move into the area with gusty winds, torrential downpours, and the possibility of some embedded tornadoes.
Indeed, that's the case, and certainly I don't think this is going to be the last tornado warning we see tonight. This band that we see pushing into southeastern North Carolina and Brunswick County right now, just looking at it, there's several rotations embedded in that. There's one that looks like it's near Carolina shores, actually, and then there's the one that's approaching Southport right now and the Bald Head Island area. It looks like there's another pretty good one there close to Oak Island about to come ashore, too. That would looks like it would neatly go within the warned area, thankfully. And looking offshore, there's a few more little supercell type structures appear to be embedded in that little band. So as that band shifts northward, I think we're going to continue to see more tornado warnings issued as we go through the night here. So folks, if you're up in Wilmington to Caswell Beach and beyond, you want to keep a close watch on that band as it's coming your way, as these rotating cells that are embedded in this band come ashore. There is going to be some risk for tornadoes this evening, and that area is under a tornado watch as well. See if I can find where I put that and share my screen so that you can see that. There we go. And this tornado watch is in effect until 2 a.m. Covers the area from down around Georgetown up past Wilmington and going well inland, almost well, not quite to Florence and Fayetteville, but getting close anyway. And that area, again, as long as these bands are coming ashore with rotating signatures in them, there's going to be some concern for tornadoes to deal with.
That is correct, Frank. And last year we had a system. I think it was Dorian that moved through and created some tornadoes along this area with that landfall. So we'll have to watch that. But again, here is the polygon. You can see this encompasses Southport up to Winnebago. This is Bolivia, Bowling Springs Lake. I'm going to turn off the velocity or the reflectivity, kind of show you some rotation with this system. As you can see, the tornado watch is up now. That is, like Frank said, going until 2 a.m. So uh, anywhere with this within this area is potentially this could see a brief tornado as um, ECES approaches landfall here in the Grand Strand up into the southeast North Carolina coast. So that's tornado watch until 2 a.m. And as Frank's got the radar up, we had it up there. We can show you where that
There we
warning
go.
Yeah, there we go. We can show you where the warning polygon is, and that's going to be the Southport area. Frank, that cell over Carolina Shores probably could be might be tornado warned soon. It's showing some rotation as well, but I'll let you kind of uh, let us see what you're go. There's the reflectivity there. You can kind of see right off of Bald Head Island, getting ready to move ashore there. That is where the reflectivity and velocities are showing some rotation, and that is an area. Again, a lot of people go to at this time of the year for vacationing. So you definitely want to be in the lowest level of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. That's one concern is when we have flooding. So you want to be mindful of that. If you are experiencing flooding, you don't want to go too low. But make sure you put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and be in that sheltered area until the storm passes. So again, this tornado warning until 8:15 for portions of Brunswick County.
That's right. And like I said, it looks like there's two cells to watch in that area. Looking at the storm relative velocity here, there's the one that's coming almost into Bald Head Island, actually kind of over Bald Head Island now, and another one coming into Oak Island. The one close to Bald Head Island, that one looks much more impressive at this point. And then looking at correlation coefficient, there might even be some tornado debris showing up there. So that could be the real deal in the Bald Head Island area. You'll want to be taking shelter immediately in that area, and it looks as to be headed towards Southport. That would be its next target, assuming it holds together.
Frank, the National Weather Service just putting out this is a confirmed tornado located over Bald Head Island. So this has been confirmed. It is on the ground as this tornado is now coming across Bald Head Island on shore. So if you are in that area, know anybody in that area, make sure that they are in a safe place. Again, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If the tornado attack is observed, so there has been some eyes on this that is able to observe that a tornado has in fact moved on to Bald Head Island.
Yeah, yes, and like I said, the correlation coefficient is showing some likely tornado debris here. So yes, that's likely to be a tornado, and it is moving quickly. Of course, the steering flow for these storms is pretty fast in this area, so likely starting to come up on Southport already. The other cell we're watching probably getting into the Oak Island area now, and also another rotating cell we're watching here out by Carolina Shores. We'll see if the Weather Service issues a warning for that one or not. And that won't be all. Again, there's more signatures of rotation. 15, 20 miles offshore, southeast of the Bald Head Island area, and that can affect areas potentially further north along the coast. So we'll be watching those closely, but yes, the one that's just moved over Bald Head Island is our main concern. Yeah, that's got to be tornado debris right there, as low as the correlation coefficient is there. That does look like a tornado debris signature.
Definitely does. There. That's and for those who may not be understanding that is just basically our radar is so good now that we're able to see debris being picked up, and you can see those blues in there, that lower color shows that there's something out there besides rain, and it's likely some kind of debris. It could be tree limbs, pond fronds, it could be shingles, it could be a host of things, but that is showing some debris there. And again, I'm watching this cell north of Carolina Shores as well. It's showing some rotation moving inland just north of Carolina Shores there on Highway 17. So we want to watch that area as well, as we could see another tornado warning issued for that location. But again, this is for the Southport area, Bald Head Island, and observed tornado. So this is a confirmed tornado moving ashore there. In fact, if you're familiar with this area, there's a ferry terminal there that kind of takes you from Carolina Beach, Curry Beach, down towards the Southport area and Bald Head Island. Frank's Oak Island, another location down in this general vicinity. So That stretch of North Carolina, the coastal North Carolina and Brunswick County, definitely under the gun right now as we have an observed tornado moving in. Frank, it looks like radar still showing some possibly debris signatures there.
Yes, we have a new scan in there. It's just north of Bald Head Island. The debris signature showing up, and again, that's approaching Southport and Caswell Beach there. So, if you're in those areas, and especially between the two, you're going to want to take shelter right now. Move to that interior room. Get as many walls as you can between yourself and the outdoors, and definitely be in something sturdy at this point.
Yes, indeed. So again, that's lowest level. Be mindful. You may have some flooding there, some coastal flooding. So a lot of these homes, you're kind of elevated off of the ground anyway, just due to the fact of hurricanes hitting here so often. So make sure you just put as many walls between you and the outside. Another good idea is to have some sort of protection on your head. That could be a helmet, a baseball helmet, bicycle helmet, football helmet, whatever. You want to protect your head. Also, you want to protect those eyes from any flying debris. So glasses, goggles, anything like that to kind of just keep any debris from flying into your eye. And definitely, you just want to be inside. You don't want to be out trying to look for this. This is most likely rain wrap, so you're not going to be able to see a funnel like you would out in the Midwest. So this is most likely rain wrapped, and you will not see it until it's already affecting you. So again, this tornado warning goes for another 14 minutes or so for Brunswick County. Again, some of the locations in this is Southport. We are looking at Winnebago, Oak Island, Bullen Springs Lake, Bolivia. Those are just some of the locations in this tornado warning. Caswell Beach, another place familiar with a lot of folks. Long Beach. Trying to look at some of these counties that the National Weather Service has highlighted. Brunswick Community College, main campus around 8:20. So again, this storm, Frank told you earlier, it's moving pretty quickly. It's moving to the northwest at 50 miles per hour. So this storm is going to be moving quickly through Brunswick County.
It sure is. And new radar scan in. It looks as though the potential tornado, or I guess confirmed tornado at this point, looks as though it's going to thread the needle there and go sort of between Caswell Beach and Southport. But all that area between Southport, including those two towns, needs to be in their tornado shelters right now, in their safe spots.
Looking at the weather chat here, Stephen Paff, friend of the show, Brunswick County Emergency Management reporting a lot of fire alarms set off on Bald Head Island. May have been something there. So fire alarm or alarms getting set off mainly in these hotels, condos, places like that. So we could be some information there of the potential landfalling tornado there in the Bald Head Island area. So hopefully more information coming soon to the Weather Service. So definitely a situation ongoing there in Bald Head Island, but this is actually moving now out of that area and more into Brunswick County near Southport. And then again, we're watching that rotation near the Bullen Springs Lake and Bolivia area.
Right. And that's, again, moving northwestward. The radar signature here is just classic supercell signature. You have a little hook at the southern end of the storm there, so that's definitely a tornado and rotation signature. We have the tornado debris on correlation coefficient and differential reflectivity, and definitely the velocity couplet there with strong outbound winds going away right next to strong inbound winds. So all the signs are there that we are dealing with a tornado moving through still here. There goes another new radar scan here, and it looks as though that hook return is passing very close to Southport right now.
And Frank, we have a new tornado warning. This is going to be for that cell that we're watching just north of Carolina Shores. This is going to be for Horry County and Brunswick County and Columbus County in North Carolina until 8:30. Again, this tornado warning until 8:30. This is going to affect some places like Carolina Shores, Loris there on Highway 9, Tabor City. This is also going to affect Longs in Horry County, Longwood up into Brunswick County. So again, this tornado located, let me give you the specifics on that right quick. Let me get it pulled up. A lot going on here.
Well, while you're looking at that, I'm going to mention it appears we have potential tornado debris now with that cell 2 right along the Brunswick and Brunswick County line there. So we'll keep an eye on that as it heads to the west-northwest. You can see that right there on the correlation coefficient there between Long, South Carolina, and Longwood, North Carolina, and heading in this general direction this way. It appears that it's staying mostly over rural areas, thank goodness. But if you're in that area, you need to follow your tornado precautions and move to the interior room or basement right now.
Yeah, so this tornado warning goes until 8:30. That's going to include southwestern Brunswick County in North Carolina, southwestern Columbus County in North Carolina, and east central Horry County in South Carolina until 8:30. Again, this storm is going to be affecting the Longs community around 8:10, Bug Hill at 8:15, Dula at 8:20, Loris, Bethel, Goretown, and Molly around 8:30. Other locations included in this polygon would be the Loris Community Hospital. In fact, I've actually been to that hospital before. So you want to be taking precautions in that area, again, along Highway 9. This includes U.S. Highway 17 in Brunswick County between mile markers 1 and 5. They're at the South Carolina-North Carolina line. There's a visitor center there. So, again, this is Carolina Shores. There's a golf course, and this is going to be just north of that in Carolina Shores, moving towards the Loris area. Again, this is going until 8:30. We are talking about back to that storm in Brunswick County, 14 fire alarms concentrated on the far east end, leading across the east end towards Southport. So that is a concentrated area with that supercell that Frank was just talking about, with that tornado warning that's just moved in off Bald Head Island and Southport. So again, 911 reported an active tornado now on Bald Head Island. So this is being reported by 911 folks, actually calling into the 911 operations center there, reporting a visual tornado that is now moving off Bald Head Island into the Southport community. So we have two dual tornado warnings right now. One in Brunswick County. We have another one in Brunswick County that borders Horry County in South Carolina. Both of these tornado warnings, one in the Brunswick County goes until 8:15. The tornado warning for Horry County and Brunswick County goes until 8:30. Again, these storms are moving quickly to the north-northwest, around 25 to 35 miles per hour. And so, Frank, just reading that, still, again, getting some reports from emergency management there in Bald Head Island of this tornado. So I'll let you take over there with what you got on radar.
Well, looks as though we have two tornadoes that we're dealing with. Looks as though it's the first one that's prompted the warning in Brunswick County is moving on from the Southport area, but heading northwestward there. And right along Highway 211 there, heading northwestward south of Boiling Spring Lakes, and still some strong appearance of potential debris in that area with low correlation coefficient on radar and strong rotation signature there on the velocity. Looks like another one's trying to develop to the southeast of Bolivia and potentially going across Highway 17 there in Brunswick County. We'll keep an eye on that one. And our other one that's very close to the North and South Carolina line here, northeast of Longs, heading in the general direction of Loris, South Carolina. We'll keep an eye on that. There's still potentially tornado debris there, so that appears to be the real deal. Folks, you're not going to see these tornadoes coming at you, and even if you still have a little bit of daylight left, because these are going to be rain-wrapped. So there's just too much rain around. You need to not wait for them to see them coming your way. You need to go ahead and take those tornado precautions and move to your safe spot in that interior room or whatever it may be right now if you're in the path of these storms.
Yeah, looking at some of the reports here out of the National Weather Service chat, again, looking at these concentrated fire alarms going off in that area. So, no confirmation of anything yet, but definitely some evidence there that we could see, could have seen a tornado there. In fact, I'm going to, while we're talking about this, kind of look through Twitter, see if we got anything coming up, and TweetDeck is not wanting to work with me right now. So let's close that out and we'll restart it, see if we can see anything that is coming in, Frank.
Yeah, technology can be such a pain in the rear sometimes, but thankfully it saves our rear end sometimes too. But anyway, a lot of rotation signatures to deal with right now. We decided to go live at just the right time because there's a lot to deal with very quickly here. Again, right along the North and South Carolina line, just northeast of Longs, still some potential tornado debris showing up on radar, and any tornado there would be well masked by heavy rainfall. So let's not wait to see it coming at you or hear it or whatever. Let's move indoors right now. The other big concern here is the cell that moved through Bald Head Island and Southport already. Still a very clear supercell type signature there on radar. Potential tornado debris showing up there as well. Not perhaps as strong as before, but certainly some radar showing up there too. Again, going by just south of Boiling Spring Lakes, sort of between Highway 211 and 67 there, likely going to go by near or just south of Bolivia. So we'll watch that one very carefully. Also, more rotation signatures out over the water. Looks like there's one about to come ashore, and hey, there goes a new tornado warning for south central New Hanover, Brunswick, and east central Columbus County until 8:45. This is, I guess, a replacement warning as we are getting around 8:15 here, getting close to it anyway. So this covers the cell near Boiling Spring Lakes and heading off to the west-northwest. And again, zipping along 50 miles an hour. You're not going to have a lot of reaction time here. Better to be in your safe spot now, well ahead of this cell moving into your area. If you're in the in the Bolivia area, Mill Creek, Honey Island, all those areas are at risk to seeing a tornado. And again, this is a confirmed tornado from earlier. Not sure if it's still producing a tornado at this point or not, but it certainly could be. All the indications are there on radar anyway.
It is. So this is this band per se does have that history of producing what apparently is going to be some tornado, at least near the Bald Head Southport area. This tornado warning canceled. The 8:15 one is canceled for Brunswick County. This is the one that replaces it. So some of those places, South Central New Hanover, Brunswick County, and East Central Columbus County. Some of the towns included in this would be Mill Creek, the Brunswick Community College, Winnebago, Town Creek, Bishop around 8:20, Batora around 8:30, Honey Island 8:35, Freeman, Delco, Regalwood around 8:40 p.m. And then other locations include Sandy Creek, Bolivia, Brunswick Novant Medical Center there on Highway 17, Dosher Memorial Hospital, and Varnontown. Again, that is also on Highway 17 there as you go through the southern part of Brunswick County. So again, nasty look there on radar, Frick. Definitely looks like we've got something on the ground there at least. And these damage, no damage reported from the Weather Service, but emergency management has reported a lot of fire alarms concentrated in one location. That kind of signifies that we could have seen some kind of touchdown there from the cell. And again, we also have that tornado warning cell that continues for Horry County until 8:30. That's moving towards the Longs community. So with this band as it rotates in off the Atlantic Ocean here, we could see numerous warnings issued here over the next few hours. Frank, what do you got there on radar?
Well, it looks as though the cell that's that's the westward cell here that's actually appears to have moved into South Carolina here, the rotating area on radar. There it is, just north of Longs right now, and heading to the west-northwest. Looks like it's going to pass along over Highway 9 shortly here, if it hasn't already, just to the north of Longs. So if you're in that area, Long Bay Golf Club, for example, thankfully a mostly rural area, but a fair number of people in there, you need to be following your tornado precautions now and moving indoors to that interior room. You wouldn't want to travel along Highway 9 at this point, heading north out of Longs or eastward out of Loris. And again, the cell looks to be tracking kind of this way, off to the west-northwest. Hopefully it ends up going by south of Loris and avoiding the population centers here. But just the last couple of radar scans here, it looks as though we're seeing less impressive circulation with this one. So hopefully that one's weakening at this point. But still, I wouldn't chance it. As James Spann says, you respect the polygon and you move indoors to that interior room as that cell moves your way.
Definitely so. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Again, this is a pretty big setup here along the Grand Strand into southeastern North Carolina. I do want to mention it's 8:15 now here, Monday, August 3rd, 2020. We have had tropical storm Isaias upgraded to a Category 1 hurricane. That came down at the 8 p.m. advisory with winds near 75 miles per hour. Really doesn't change any of the impacts. A strong tropical storm, a weak Category 1 hurricane, not going to change much of the impacts. But again, hurricane warnings hosted up for the Grand Strand up into southeastern North Carolina as ECS approaches its final approach here into the coastal areas. Again, we could see landfall anywhere between 9 p.m. to midnight, somewhere along the Grand Strand. A lot of the hurricane models, National Hurricane Center, kind of focusing in on the North Carolina, South Carolina border there near Little River, Sunset Beach area. So we'll watch that area. But right now, that area is being hit hard by this band of torrential rainfall and some embedded tornadoes or tornado warned cells. We do have that one tornado confirmed there on Bald Head Island. But again, Frank, these cells are rapidly moving around 50 miles per hour. So you don't have much time if you find yourself in this polygon. You need to go ahead and seek shelter.
That's right, and tracking two cells now in Brunswick County. Again, we were watching the one that kind of went over Oak Island earlier, and it looks as though that one didn't produce a tornado, but looking at the velocity, the radar velocity here with that one looks pretty strong. That one's west of Bolivia. The one that definitely has been producing a tornado, at least at times, over the last half hour, as it looks as though it's moving out of the Boiling Springs Lakes area. That's heading northwestward. This is the one that's actually prompted the warning that's in Brunswick County right now. That looks to be heading toward the Bolivia area. It looks as though it'll cross Highway 17 soon, so that area needs to be taking appropriate precautions. Travel on 17, not a good idea in that area right now, and those of you who live in that area should be taking your tornado precautions now and moving to that interior room. The cell that's off to the west here, a good 20 miles, I guess, northeast of Charlotte at this point. That will be something to watch as well. It looks like it'll pass close to highway or over Highway 211 here shortly. And that if that's not producing a tornado, it might shortly because the lowest level rotation is looking pretty strong at this point, Scotty.
Yes, sir. So again, we're watching these two tornado warned cells moving into the coastal areas here in the Carolinas. Again, ECS upgraded to a Category 1 hurricane as of the 8 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. These are the outer bands, I would say, kind of the first significant bands of what is the inner core of ECS as it moves into the Carolinas. Again, tornadoes are going to be a potential for this evening. We're also going to see some storm surge, flooding, gusty winds outside of these tornadic supercells, anywhere between 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So a very stormy night if you are finding yourself between Georgetown, South Carolina, up through the Wilmington area in North Carolina as ECS continues to rotate into the coastal area. So again, we want to kind of reset here. We've got tornado watch until 2 a.m. That is for kind of this area that we're expecting the landfall to be made here with ECS. Again, this is going to be off of the Grand Strand right now. I think the ECS is just located kind of just parallel to Charleston as it's making its final approach. Let me look at the latest coordinates here. I'm not sure. Frank, do you remember right off the top of your head how fast ECS is moving? It's moving north-northeast at 16 miles per hour.
Something like that, yes. Let me bring the advisory back up real quick. There we are. North-northeast at 16 miles per hour.
Yeah, so it's 60 miles east of Wilmington or 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach. So we can anticipate conditions there in the Myrtle Beach area to continue to go downhill for the next few hours on the final approach here for ECES as it continues to move towards the coastline. So we are streaming tonight. We plan to provide you coverage throughout the evening. Myself, Frank Strait, James Brierton will be by. We do have Evan Fisher who will be stopping by, Jared Smith, Shea Gibson, The whole panel will be here. Dan Whitaker expected to give us some reports out in the field. We also have our friend Mark Suddeth with HurricaneTracker.com. He'll be calling in, as well as Ethan Clark, intern there at WRAL, who is located in the Ocean Isle community there in North Carolina, all to give us reports tonight as we continue to give you live coverage here on the Carolina Weather Group. As we focus in on the coastal part of South Carolina and North Carolina that is expected to be impacted by the landfalling of Category 1 Hurricane ECES. Frank?
Scotty, looking close at radar again here, I think we're starting to see another indication of tornado debris here. Thankfully, again, in a not heavily populated area, but this little area of reduced correlation coefficient here, I think there's a good chance that's tornado debris showing up right now. And that's not the cell that we've been tracking that's gone near Boiling Spring Lakes in Bolivia. That's the other cell that we were watching that's still in the same warned area in Brunswick County. That's close to the Green Swamp Preserve along Highway 211 there. That lines up pretty well with rotation, along with a pretty good blob of strong reflectivity in that area. So it looks as though we might have a little tornado on the ground there, so we'll keep an eye on that as it heads toward the west-northwest. Still watching this one near Bolivia, though. Nice little curving signature here right now on radar, and definitely some rotation. Looks like that's right over Bolivia and over 17 at this point, so that's heading northwest. Might also kind of head through the countryside, mainly over the Green Swamp Preserve as well, but we'll be watching that. And again, potentially 2 tornadoes in this warned area right now in Brunswick County.
Yeah, and Frank, I will say the tornado warning for Horry County, as well as the that portion of Brunswick County, that tornado warning has expired. So
yes, it has, and there's no sign of any rotation there, nothing significant at this point. So looks as though the threat is passed in that area, and thank goodness we have enough going on elsewhere.
Yes, yeah, and that's kind of with these tornado warnings. That one was supposed to go out until 8:30, but that's what we see with these tropical landfalling systems. We'll see these tornadoes kind of spin up. At least we see the rotation on radar spin up, and then it will kind of cycle back down. Some last longer than others, but this one over Brunswick County, in fact, those 2 areas of rotation continue to move throughout the county. Bolivia under the gun right now with this potential tornado. Again, we do have reports back in the Ballhead Island, Southport area of observed tornadoes. Someone called it into the 911 operations center. Also, a concentration of fire alarms going off at some of the hotels and condos, beach homes, things like that. So that kind of tells us, kind of connected dots. You can kind of see, hey, there may have been something that happened there. But again, that cell has moved into central Brunswick County here, and we're watching that cell pass just to the north of Bolivia there along Highway 17. That's the main thoroughfare between Wilmington and Myrtle Beach, even down to Charleston. So a very populated area, or traveled, not populated, but well-traveled area there on Highway 17 as these cells continue to rotate in off the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes, indeed. We'll be watching all along this band as I zoom the view out. This band that stretches east of Southport out over the Atlantic right now and is rotating around Isaias and heading ashore. There's several potential rotation signatures there, so we're definitely going to have to keep our eyes peeled for more rotation signatures showing up. But for now, the 2 main areas of concern are both in Brunswick County, moving out of the Bolivia area now off to the northeast. No sign of tornado debris, I think, with that one at this point, but definitely a strong rotation there, moving to the northwest of Bolivia and pulling away. This one that just crossed over 211, that showing some pretty strong sign of tornado debris right now. So if you happen to be in that area just to the west of the Green Swamp Preserve and off to the northwest from there, heading toward the county line there, you need to be in your tornado precaution mode right now. With, again, thankfully not a lot of population in that area, I think, but still, if you're in that area east of Freeland, heading toward the county line there, definitely take shelter, move to that interior room now. It looks like we do have a tornado radar indicated in that area.
Yes, sir. So you definitely want to be lowest level of your home, put as many walls between you and the outside. Again, I always like to tell when I do school presentations to kids and and to adults, the safety precautions. It's always a good idea to have some sort of protection for your head, normally like a helmet, baseball helmet, football helmet, bicycle helmet, something like that you can uh, strap onto your head to keep you protected from any flying debris. Also, a good idea to have some kind of goggles or something to protect your eye from debris. We know it's the beach down there, so a lot of sand blowing, so you just don't want to get that eye irritation or anything blown into that. Looking besides these supercells, just a plethora of heavy rain moving into the Myrtle Beach area up towards Wilmington. Again, also a concern for just gusty winds. With temperature or with saturated soils, winds gusting 40, 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. We could see just some trees fall from that. But again, some gusty winds, definitely a storm surge component, as well as some torrential rainfall. So if you are out at the beach in Myrtle Beach up towards Southport, the Wilmington area, it's just a good night to stay inside, stay off the roads, keep the roads clear. So if emergency personnel do have to go out, they don't have to get through anybody that's out just kind of looking around. I do want to say this: the Brunswick County EM team was sheltered at the OC in Bolivia and heard the tornado go by. So the actual EM center there in Brunswick County was able to hear the tornado go by.
Wow.
We do have a new tornado warning out for Brunswick, New Hanover County. This goes until 9 o'clock. That'll probably populate here on the radar in just a second. This is going to be for a storm located over Carolina Beach, moving northwest at 45 miles per hour. So Carolina Beach, just outside of Wilmington. This is going to be Carolina Beach, Seabreeze, Myrtle Grove, Silver Lake, that area. Again, Carolina Beach, Curry Beach, a populated area. So rotation in that cell as well that's going to be coming on shore. I think Frank is zooming into it right now. So Carolina Beach, if you are there, know anybody there, make sure they are in shelter, away from windows as this tornadic storm moves on shore quickly to the northwest at about 45 miles per hour.
That's right. This stuff's really trucking. Again, this is on the fringe of a hurricane, and the steering flow for these individual cells very fast, so they move at you very fast, and you might not get a lot of warning other than what you've had already. Zooming in real tight here, looks as though we have a radar circulation signature showing up here just offshore near Seabreeze, which the radar data that you see is at least a couple minutes old typically by the time we get it. So that's probably coming ashore now in the Seabreeze area. Next target will be Myrtle Grove and areas along 421 between those two towns. So that whole area is under the gun right now and needs to be in that safe spot in the interior room. If you've got that bike helmet, go ahead and put that on. Move to your interior room or basement right now, as that area is the most threatened at this point. From there up to Silver Lake too, Scotty.
Yes, sir. So again, 2 tornado warnings continuing for this portion, kind of the Wilmington metro area. So a very populated area with these tornado warnings. One warning going until 9 p.m. That is going to be for, let me get this populated up. This one's going to be for Brunswick County, New Hanover, Columbus. So that goes, that storm right now located near Batarona, or 12 miles west of Leland, moving northwest at 50 miles per hour. That's tornado warning cell number 1. Tornado warning cell number 2 is the one that was just issued. This is going to be for Carolina Beach, moving northwest at 45 miles per hour. Again, some of the locations to be affected by that would be Masonboro Island, Myrtle Grove, Silver Lake around 8:35, Masonboro around 8:40, Wilmington, downtown Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach, Bishop, Town Creek around 8:45, Leland, Wrightsboro around 8:50, Phoenix and Batarona 8:55. So Batarona actually could see in the polygon for both of these storms as it continues to move off to the northwest at around 45 to 50 miles per hour. So again, these are some populated areas, especially as you get into the Wilmington area. So you definitely want to make sure to be in shelter. In fact, Frank, here's something in the text here. People attending the National Hurricane Center testing site at Scottish Rite may be affected by this storm and are urged to follow precautionary measures of the on-site officials. So actually, the NHC testing site uh, in that area. I'm not sure if that's the Hurricane Center or maybe a Novant Healthcare Center, maybe a COVID testing site at Scottish Rite. I'm thinking that's probably it. It's going to be a COVID-19 testing site. Probably you may be affected by this storm and are urged to follow the precautionary measures of the on-site official. So maybe we can get some more clarification of what that is. But interesting note in the text of the warning here with this tornado warning that's coming on shore at Carolina Beach.
Yes, I'd be interested to find out what that's all about right now.
Normally, when I see NHC, it reminds me of National Hurricane Center.
Yeah, it's the first thing you think when you're not familiar with it.
Yeah, then as you kind of think about it, you're reading over it, maybe it could be one of the COVID testing sites. So I'm not sure. Maybe we can get some further information on that later on down the road. But needless to say, if you're at the testing site, you need to be following the officials' instructions there as this tornado warning cell moves towards you.
Yes, indeed. And right now, the rotation's hard to pick up out on radar at this point. Hopefully, we're not seeing any actual tornado touching down. But obviously, you want to respect the warnings always, because there is certainly some rotation showing up, and we could see a tornado develop very quickly if there isn't one. But the area between Seabreeze and Myrtle Grove along 421 looks to be the main area of concern at this point. That cell's, again, moving very quickly off to the northwest, 45 miles an hour. Myrtle Grove and Silver Lake and adjacent areas, you need to be exercising those tornado precautions now, moving to your interior room, putting as many walls as you can between yourself and the outside. Looking back to the west here at the other cells we've been watching, the one that moved over 211 earlier and looks to be moving into across the line into that's Columbus County. That one appears to finally be falling apart here, or at least the rotation is very strong there. And it's not terribly strong here with the one that moved through the Bolivia area and is now heading off to the northwest there. That also should be moving into Columbus County before too much longer. This is zipping along again to the northwest at 45 to 50 miles an hour. Shifting back over to the cells in New Hanover County and close to the county line here. That looks like it's right over 17 right now, the main area of concern there. There's your weak rotation signature south of Myrtle Grove, and the area that looks like a little pendant feature on radar here, right along 421. Again, that's a racing off to the northwest. It looks as though it's going to go just south of Myrtle Grove, just south of Silver Lake. So if that's where you are, that's the area that is of greatest concern right now, and definitely needs to be taking those tornado precautions and moving to the interior rooms right now.
So Frank, talking about the NHC, James, our producer, who's going to hop on here in just a little bit, was telling me that's the New Hanover County COVID testing site. So that is New Hanover County COVID testing site that is in the polygon for this tornado warning. So to kind of clear that up, if you're still wondering, that's what it is. Interesting note from National Weather Service in Wilmington, the Spring Maid Pier in Myrtle Beach, current tide observation is 9.89 feet. This is the third highest on record behind Hurricane Hugo and Hurricane Matthew. So
that's pretty impressive.
Interesting observation there out of the Spring Maid Pier there in Myrtle Beach. This is the third highest tide observation, only behind Hugo in 1989 and Hurricane Matthew in 2016.
That shows you the power that Hurricane Hugo had. Keep in mind that it made landfall well to the southwest toward the McClellanville area in South Carolina. So Spring Maid Pier is a long way away from that. It gives you an idea of just how much power that Hugo had to produce that much of a storm surge that far away.
Yes, so that just kind of shows you Category 1, numbers are numbers. It still can create some devastating winds, storm surge, flooding, whatever the case may be. And so just a category 1, people may kind of push it off, but it still has some major effects. As you can see now, this is the 3rd highest tide observation in the Myrtle Beach area from this hurricane. So again, kind of reset. We do have 2 tornado warnings here in southeastern North Carolina. This is going to include Brunswick County, New Hanover County. Some of the populated areas include Carolina Beach, Wilmington, Winterboro. This is also going to Bolivia, just north of Bolivia. Once you get outside of Bolivia, it's more of a very fairly sparse populated area, more farmland and swamps and just open land in that area. But again, still a little bit of rotation there. And then we're continuing to watch this supercell or this tornado warned cell move in off Carolina Beach. This is going to be approaching Wilmington. So we actually do have some camera feeds there in the Wilmington area. So as it gets closer, maybe we can switch to some of those and kind of see if we got anything going on. But again, if you wasn't around when we first came on, the 8 p.m. advisory has shown that Tropical Storm Isaias has actually been upgraded to a Category 1 hurricane. 75-mile-per-hour sustained winds as it's approaching the Grand Strand into southeastern North Carolina. Landfall expected to be anywhere between the 10 p.m. to midnight time frame, somewhere along the North Carolina-South Carolina line near the Little River, Sunset Beach area. That's where the National Hurricane Center right now has that track. We'll probably, Frank, I would say now that we're approaching, land, we're probably going to see these advisories come out maybe every hour now from the Hurricane Center as Isaias is starting to make its final approach before landfall.
That's right. We should get very frequent updates from them on the position and intensity going forward. That should be doing that hourly going forward here, I think, because it is so close to land and so close to landfall. And strong winds are likely pushing ashore here. As I zoom the view out here, you can see what I guess we could now call an eye wall of Hurricane Isaias is right along the Grand Strand at this point, and likely causing some gusty winds. I'll switch to the Charleston radar here. It looks as though we're getting a better view of the backside of the storm here from the Charleston radar, and imagine some pretty high winds are occurring right along the Georgetown and far northeastern Charleston County coastlines as that moves away. I guess also worth mentioning the storms that we were seeing over Georgia and the upstate of South Carolina start to make some pretty good progress eastward. There can be some locally gusty winds with that coming through Barnwell, Allendale, and Hampton County, South Carolina. We'll keep an eye on that, see if it can get up to what we would refer to as severe. So we'll watch for some possible warnings spreading across the low country there. Hopefully not, as we certainly have enough going on farther to the north and east. Now switching back to the Wilmington radar, let's look at our tornadoes, our tornado warnings and potential tornadoes. Looks as though this warned cell that's in New Hanover and Brunswick County, right along the county line there near Silver Lake. That is moving toward the northwest and again zipping right along. That's probably heading over the southwest part of Wilmington here shortly if it hasn't already. Seeing still some rotation signature there. So we do have to keep an eye on that as it heads northwest. The interchange between Highway 74 and 17 looks to be an area that will be threatened. Leland and Navassa there as well. So if you're in those areas, you need to be taking your tornado precautions now. Looks like, at least in terms of the tornado, we're all clear at this point for Silver Lake, Myrtle Grove, down to Seabreeze, but only for that, because we do remain under the gun with Isaias and the center of the storm heading in that general direction in the coming hours.
Yes, so was looking at some of these other advisories. We do have some flood advisories out, river flood warnings, river flood warning for Horry County, as well as 2 sections in Horry County. And again, if you've watched our program or remember a few weeks back, we talked about this flooding issues that continue to take place in Horry County. So anytime that we see these tropical systems move into this general area, we always see the residual flooding. And so again, those river flood warnings out there in Horry County. Getting a new tornado warning that is going to be popping up for Brunswick and I'm sorry.
That's an update of the previous one for Brunswick and New Hanover. Yeah.
Yes.
What we will have to watch, though, looking a little farther east, I see the Weather Service has issued special marine warnings for the area south of Surf City, Topsail Beach, as well, from the more rotating cells that are moving in along that area. Looks like there's another pretty good one that's to the east-southeast of Wrightsville Beach now that's showing some rotation. And that heading in the area, toward the area just north of Wrightsville Beach there in New Hanover County. So that's one we're going to be watching very carefully as that gets closer to shore. And in addition to that, still watching the area just northwest of Silver Lake, switching back to reflectivity, something the general public understands a little better, I think. Looks as though the most dangerous part of that cell is moving again over the southwest part of Wilmington and heading in the general direction of Leland. So if you're in that area, you need to be in shelter right now. That includes the area near the interchange with 74 and 17. That area imminently under the gun right now, so move to your interior room now, putting as many walls as you can between yourself and the outdoors or basement. As Scotty's mentioned several times, a bike helmet, a motorcycle helmet, batting helmet for baseball or softball, that it gives your head some good protection as well. Those of you who have the time to do it, put on some solid hard sole shoes in case you end up getting some damage and have to survey it real quickly. There'll be debris all over the place. You don't want to step on anything. You don't want to step on any nails. So some good solid footwear is probably a good idea too if you have time to put it on. But prioritize getting to the safest spot in your house in an interior room, Scotty.
Yes, sir. Just kind of looking at the radar here, I was communicating with our friend April Thomas, who is actually on our show in Horry County. I think she's going to be able to join us here in the next little bit to kind of give us her perspective of what's going on in Horry County. Watching that rotation now in the Wilmington area is kind of maybe tightening up a little bit, Frank. I mean,
it does look that way. It does look that way. It looks a little more impressive than it did earlier.
It does, and kind of looking back, we get these what we call special marine warnings, and there's some rotation out off the coast of Wrightsville Beach that we're going to have to watch as that band moves in. But I would be interested to see this rotation moving in just south of Wilmington, there on Highway, let's see, what is that? Highway 133, some of the major highways there. I'm trying to get roads to populate on my radar, and I can't do that. So we'll go over here to Google Earth here and kind of give you some of those highways here. That would be 421, Highway 133, 117. So that kind of area, 421, one of those major thoroughfares that kind of bypasses Wilmington to get you down to the beaches. So that area is seeing some rotation that we'll have to watch. And Frank, that last radar scan really looks like it's tightening up there just outside of Wilmington.
Yes, it sure does. The rotation looks a lot more impressive than it did before. And again, almost over the west side of Wilmington right now, right along Highway 133. Looks like that's the area of concern. Let's check the the correlation coefficient. Oh, that's lowered where there's not much reflectivity, so that's not tornado debris there. But again, there's a tornado risk here, and better safe than sorry. You want to be in your interior room and your safest spot that you can find right now as this rotating area pushes through. If it's not producing a tornado, it can very quickly and without any further warning. So that includes, again, the area along Highway 133, moving toward the interchange with Highway 17 and Highway 74 there on the west side of Wilmington, the Leland area. You definitely want to be in your best shelter you can find right now.
Yeah, that I don't like that. We're gonna have to watch that right there. That's
yeah, it keeps with each scan that becomes available, it keeps looking more and more impressive, doesn't it, Scotty?
It does. So Leland and Navassa, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. With Wrightsboro, you need to be in shelter right now. This is just going to be just to the, let's say, what is that, west of Wilmington, downtown Wilmington. So Leland and Navassa, you definitely need to be in your shelter, lowest level of your home. I don't like the way that looks. This is going to be Highway 74, Village Road, Old Mill Road. Rotation kind of tweaked down a little bit that last scan, but again, this is near North Brunswick High School, Woodboro area. You need to be in your storm shelter. Waterford, another location there in this area that you need to be in your shelter.
Yes, indeed. And again, with each scan we get recently, that cell looks more and more impressive over either just west of or on the west side of Wilmington. That area you definitely need to be in your tornado, your safest spot you can find at this point. That is a really concerning looking cell. The way we're seeing the rotation on radar velocity and this arcing appearance that we have here. The southernmost point of that arc is where we would be concerned of a tornado potentially happening, and that's right along Highway 133 on radar right now, which means the actual location's a little north and west. Again, radar. When you see a radar image, it's usually at least 2 or 3 minutes old. So likely we'll soon be passing close to the interchange between US 17 and US 74, Scotty.
Yes, the one tornado warning for New Hanover, Brunswick, and Columbus County that has been allowed to expire. So we just have this one tornado warning, and that's going to be just outside of Wilmington, near the Waterboro subdivision area. Bellevue, I've got the Google Maps up here looking some of these areas: Eagle Island, Navassa, Leland. This is kind of the 140 outer loop of Interstate 140. This kind of area, you definitely need to be in your safe place. Again, Old Fayetteville Road, Lenville Road. This is going to be near, kind of looking some of the locations: Magnolia Greens Golf Course, A&M Affordable Cakes, Northwest District Park, Highland Paving, Port City Outdoors Fishing Store, Leland Community Park. This is along Highway 7476. So if you familiar with those locations or live near there, there's a Food Line, Lincoln Elementary School, the Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Bridge of Life Community Church. That kind of area, you definitely need to be in your shelter as this rotation continues to move in your area here in Brunswick County. As again, Frank, what's causing these is we have ECES off of the coast, and we get these feeder bands, and these feeder bands are really filled with a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and some shear, and it doesn't take much in this environment to get these tornadoes develop with these landfalling tropical systems.
Yes, indeed. And looking at radar here again, just west of Wilmington, that's a pretty nasty looking cell there that's passing again just west of Wilmington, coming into Leland and Navassa now. So this is the most critical time for those areas over far northeastern Brunswick County. Tornado warning remains in effect, and looking at a pretty good radar rotation signature in that area. So you definitely want to be in your safe spot right now. Zooming out, we're still watching circulations that are appearing within this band that's coming ashore over New Hanover County, starting to push into Pender County as well. Special marine warning is issued due to the threat of waterspouts for the offshore waters there. And again, that's going to be rotating in, so those of you in Surf City and that area will want to be watching that very, very carefully as that comes your way. Zooming out even further, it looks like the eye of Isaias is continuing to push toward the north-northeast, and looks like it's due south of Myrtle Beach right now. Again, heading toward the north-northeast at about 16 miles an hour. Looks as though landfall could occur maybe in an hour or so, not far from Southport. So stronger straight-line winds look to be risks here in that area. And just looking through the Weather Service chat there, just reported an 82-mile-an-hour gust at Frying Pan Tower. So that's out here somewhere, if I remember correctly. Something like 25 miles offshore, Scotty, is that correct?
Yeah, I think 25, 30 miles offshore, not far. In fact, we normally have a camera out there, but now that it's dark, we not much we can see with that being out in the middle of the Atlantic. But again, that's not too far off the coast. In fact, some people at one time actually go out there to stay. There's like little living quarters that you can turn out and fly in a helicopter and go spend the night out in the Atlantic.
Yeah, it looks like there'd be something fun to do once anyway. Not
Yes,
right
yeah.
now, though.
No, no,
Not right
no.
now.
82-mile-an-hour wind gusts on top of that tower. I don't know how that would feel. I don't. It'd be a little unnerving to me, but
No,
I'm
I
sure
don't think I would even want to be secure indoors with those conditions.
no, some adventure seeker would probably really jump at that opportunity, but
Yeah,
not
somebody like
me.
Reed Timmer would eat that up, I think.
Yeah, not me. But let's kind of reset here. It is 8:50, August the 3rd, 2020. We are covering wall-to-wall coverage of Hurricane Isaias as it is approaching landfall somewhere along the Grand Strand up into the southeast North Carolina coastal line. We have had several tornado warnings this evening. One confirmed tornado as of right now that did make landfall coming out of the ocean. So it was a water spout crossing onto land, making it a tornado near Bald Head Island. We have had a few reports of some security alarms going off in that area, in a concentrated area. Also, there's so much in the weather chat here, but I can't remember somewhere one of the emergency operations center actually had to seek shelter as the tornado was passing by. They could hear the wind from the tornado. So that is that. It looks like we do have a new tornado warning issued now for Bladen, Brunswick, Columbus, New Hanover, and Pender County. So this is going to be a huge tornado warning.
Yeah, yeah, potential for multiple circulations within that large area, I think. So
Yeah,
we'll wait and see when it shows up on our radar screens here. But yeah, that's coming down the pipe, and that'll be in effect until 9:15.
And Frank, that circulation is kind of, now it is out of the Wilmington area, just north of Leland, is kind of tightening back up again.
Yeah, it
And that
looks
is
that
where
way.
this warning is going to be expanded.
Yeah,
I
thankfully,
think, for this
there's our
cell.
warning, and yes, it's for that cell that we're talking about near Leland and Navassa are actually starting to move out of that area. Again, in effect till 9:15. Looks like the trajectory would take the most dangerous part of that storm across, hopefully not heavily populated areas, just northeast of Northwest and Sandy Creek, passing by to the north of Highway 74. So we'll watch that as it moves across, hopefully increasingly less populated areas of Brunswick County and into southwestern Pender County.
Yeah, this is a more rural area. A lot of farmland and wetlands out in this area. Some of the locations to be affected would be another tornado warning issued for Bladen, Brunswick. Oh, that's the same one. I'm sorry.
That's right.
I heard the alert go off here in my ear, so I thought that was another one. But anyways, this would be for a tornado watch issued for some of the Raleigh area, Raleigh counties that are covered by the Weather Service. So that's the tornado alert I heard in my ear. But again, going back to this tornado warning, this cell going more into a rural part of the area, more wetlands, farmland. But again, Regalwood, Delco, Sandyfield, Point Caswell, Rooks, Curry, Kelly around 9:10, Rowan around 9:15. Other locations: Sandy Creek, Navassa, Atkins, and East Arcadia. This includes following highways: Interstate 140, U.S. Route 74 between mile markers 414 and 433 on that. And that rotation, Frank, really starting to look impressive once again.
Yeah, it sure is. That arcing signature that we're seeing in the reflectivity here, the basic radar data that most people are familiar with. That's a sign of strong rotation in a cell. And looking at the radar velocity here, looks like it's tightening up north of Leland right now, heading in the general direction of the Pender County line. So we'll keep an eye on that. Looks like that's going to pass by just north of Northwest, going I guess right along the Cape Fear River there. And again, heading into the northwest, looks like it will pass in hopefully sparsely populated areas there between Northwest and Curry. I don't see a whole lot of civilization in there looking at the Google Maps myself. So I'm sure that there's a few people in there, though. And if you are in those areas, that's where you live, you need to be taking your tornado precautions right now, moving to the interior room of your house or basement, assuming it's not flooded from all the rain that we're dealing with here tonight. And having things like a bicycle helmet handy to pop on, that's certainly helpful. It can help protect that noggin of yours from debris in case you start to lose the structural integrity of your house. Some solid shoes, a good idea too, in case you have to step out quick and survey damage. Make sure that your home's safe to continue to stay in. Again, there's going to be debris all over the place if you have to venture out in case you're forced to. You don't want to unless you have to, of course, in these conditions, but sometimes you're forced to, and if you have to, you want to make sure you're as protected as you possibly can be.
Yes, sir. Great idea, and again, that rotation really uh, is very sparsely populated area. But if there was some eyes out there, we may actually see something on the ground. Just looking at the radar presentation of that,
Yeah.
definitely interesting. What is going on just outside of Northwest and Skipper's Corner? So this portion just north of Wilmington. Again, under the gun with this tornado warning. Looking at the circulation of Isaias, looks like it's off of the Georgetown area, Georgetown, South Carolina. So it's starting to make inlands eventually here or landfall. Frank, I would say probably before midnight we should see landfall. I mean, just looking at the trends of radar and the speed, it looks like it's landfall is in the next few hours.
Yeah, it depends exactly how this shakes out here. I mean, looking at the Charleston radar here, it looks like it might be trying to nudge to a more eastward or take a little skip or hop to the east here. If that's the case, then it looks like the landfall point might end up being close to Bald Head Island, but if it were just slightly east of there, it may take even longer to actually come ashore, just because it might end up paralleling the coast for a while here.
Yes, so we're going to be watching that as well. We do again have this active tornado warning. This goes until 9:30 p. I'm sorry, 9:15 p.m. So for another 20 minutes or so. Again, this is for portions of northwestern New Hanover County, southwestern Pender County, southeastern Bladen County, northeastern Brunswick County, northeastern Columbus County, all in southeastern North Carolina. I do want to say a programming note. We do have Jared Smith going to be joining us here in just a little bit. He can kind of tell us what the day's been like there in Charleston. James Brierton will be along with us, as well as Dan Whitaker. We're also going to have guest appearances from Mark Suddeth with HurricaneTracker.com, April Thomas with Horry County Rising, and Ethan Clark, who is an intern at WRAL. All will be stopping by to join us and let us know what's going on in their areas as ECS makes its final approach for landfall here along the Grand Strand, or maybe even up into southeastern North Carolina. It just kind of depends on the wobbles of where landfall happens. So, Frank, see that you got the radar put up. Rotation still looking strong there with that cell we're watching just outside of Wilmington.
Sure is. To the northwest of Wilmington now, just west of northwest. That's the most dangerous part of this storm, and it's moving toward the northwest. So it looks as though it passes just north of northwest, likely. But I'm sure there's some people living in that area that need to be taking their tornado precautions. Looks like this could pass pretty close to the International Paper Plant that's near Regalwood there. So if you're in that area, you definitely need to be taking your tornado precautions right now. Overall, sparsely populated, but nonetheless, if you're in that area, you need to be taking your tornado precautions now. Zooming out a little bit, again, this band that's coming ashore through Pender County now and before long into Onslow County. We'll watch those for signs of rotation. Looks like there are a few little Ripley-looking areas that might be producing some rotation there out over the water and potentially coming ashore, so we'll watch that. Further south, another band that looks like to be another rotation southeast of Carolina Beach, and maybe another one there southeast of Bald Head Island. And that's the kind of thing that happens when you're dealing with landfalling hurricane on the northeast side of it. You get these circulations to develop in those bands as they come ashore, and we'd be dealing with that for an hour or so now already, Scotty.
Yes, it's been, we went on probably just a little bit over an hour ago, and it's been a busy hour. Time has really flown by here with these tornado warnings. And again, there's a few even special marine warnings, and these are issued by the Weather Service, kind of looking out over the ocean of possible rotation that is out over the ocean that could be making landfall eventually into the coastal areas. So we'll continue to watch that. Again, looking at the Weather Service, I'm not getting any damage confirmation We did have ham radio operator. This is not verified, so we're not putting not putting a lot of stock into this, but ham radio operator reports a brief tornado south of Waccamaw Drive in the Murrells Inlet area. Some roofs destroyed, but that is not verified. But again, ham operators essential part in storm coverage because they are some of the spotters out in the field and they get these reports. So we can't verify that yet. I'm sure we'll get some verification on that as we continue throughout the night. But just shows, even with these landfalling systems, we could see these brief spin ups, and radar may not be able to catch it. And before a warning's issued, the tornado may have already been gone. So
Right. Yeah, Scotty, I was looking at the radar in that area, and the rotation doesn't look all that in the Myrtle's Inlet area, and at least not recently. But on the other hand, that area is kind of in the eye wall right now, and weird things happen. You get these little mesoscale vortices develop in the eye wall, small scale spins, and sometimes they won't show up very well on radar unless you really are dialed in to what you're looking at there. So it's one of those things, we can't confirm it, but we also can't rule it out because that's the area right along the upper Georgetown coast and into Horry counties, kind of a dangerous spot right now, being that's sort of the eye wall part of Isaias right now.
yes, so we are continuing to monitor this. If you live in the Piedmont, up towards the Raleigh area, back towards Charlotte, Columbia, South Carolina, you're on the outer fringes of this. We're seeing some rain showers up in that area. Looking at the Raleigh area, there's been some trees down with some of these gustier winds. This one, just two reports north of Raleigh, some trees coming down with the saturated soil, some gusty winds. That's not hard to accomplish. Again, one tornado warning right now out. We have had several tornado warnings throughout the last hour or so. One confirmed tornado that did come across Bald Head Island, some concentrated security alarms that went off on the east side of the island. So that kind of tells us that there may have been something that touched down in that area. In fact, one of the EOCs confirming that they could actually hear the tornado pass by as they took shelter. So that's pretty good confirmation that something did touch down in that area. But now we're continuing to watch this sail near Northwest and Sandy Creek. This is going to be moving up towards Curry, Atkinson, Kelly, and East Arcadia as this storm continues. So Brunswick County, tornado damage out of that area. Let me get over to our NWS chat. Skywarn storm spotter, a roof torn off a house off Dogwood Ridge Road in the Bald Head Island, North Carolina community. So that kind of lines up with those security alarms that we reported about earlier. So that kind of gives that confirmation of a confirmed tornado. Frank, we're still watching this one tornado warning cell that is just north of Wilmington, moving into a more rural area. But again, East Arcadia, Kelly, Atkinson, you need to be in your safe place.
Yes, indeed. That area is under the gun there, roughly midway between Curry and Northwest, and storm's moving toward the northwest. So it looks as though it's going to kind of stay out in rural areas. But if you're in that area, you need to be taking your tornado precautions now. Being in an interior room, we do have a pretty strong rotation signature right now. Just as I was looking further south, looks like we might have some rotation trying to develop there in Horry County, just to the northwest of North Myrtle here, and drifting off to the northwest. This is something we'll watch very carefully. So if you're in that area, to the southwest of Longs, we're keeping an eye on that now as well. It's developed just over the last 10 to 15 minutes, Scotty. And
sorry, I was on mute.
Right.
I knew I would do it at some point tonight. That's a trend for me.
That's okay.
I was drinking a bottle of water, and I didn't want to want you to hear me gurgling. But
that's quite all right. Anyway, back over Pender County here, far western part of Pender County, just south of Curry. We're still watching a strong rotation signature there, and still in a tornado warning for that area that continues until 9:15. So about 12 more minutes, and as durable as that rotation has been, it looks like it's holding on. We may end up seeing the National Weather Service have to issue a new warning here shortly for parts of Bladen and Pender counties. And maybe part of Sampson County too, as this starts heading northwestward away from Wilmington.
Yes, I see that we have Jared Smith who is logged in. Jared, you kind of got ECS out of your hair. It's been a busy day for you in Charleston. Kind of tell us what it's been like there.
Scotty, it hasn't been too bad. We've been very fortunate, incredibly fortunate. Last night when we were talking here, we thought that we would be dealing with a pretty major flood event downtown Charleston. Right now, there are no closed roads in downtown Charleston. That's blowing my mind. The tide is a little above 7 feet, and so that's the tidal flooding issues. But to say we got lucky is to put it very mildly. The kind of like that. I wouldn't call it a true eye wall, but that inner core band of thunderstorms was about a mile from downtown Charleston, and had that wobbled west 1 or 2 miles, completely different story. The city would be underwater. Just give a general idea of just how close and how much we threaded the needle today on this. It was nuts when we were treated to a beautiful show of the Mattis at the end. So that was pretty cool too. But overall, rain totals, were actually much lower than many anticipated. Storm surge came around low tide, which was good. The forward motion accelerating helped on that front. Unfortunately, now you all are dealing with the tornado threat up in the Wilmington area there and up into Horry County. So, it's we're through it. We're good, but I'll tell you, it could have been a lot worse, and it should have been a lot worse.
Yeah, Jared. When we were talking, we did think Charleston would see that flooding that you see just on a random thunderstorm on days, and it's good to hear that there's no major issues, in Charleston right now. I do want to continue to update you. The tornado warning continues for portions here in southeast North Carolina again until 9:30. Oh, I'm sorry, that's just been canceled. So we are good. I guess that's what my radar is showing.
Yeah, a part of it has been canceled. The part in Pender and what is that? Bladen County is still in effect.
Yeah. My radar doing funky things.
That part's still in effect. That's passing just south of Curry right now and heading in the general direction of Kelly. So that's what we're watching for a few more minutes here. The circulation seems to be holding together, so it wouldn't shock me if we saw another tornado warning coming out soon. Also watching a little rotation here in Horry County, northwest of North Myrtle here, so we'll watch that. Hopefully that does not tighten any further, but there is a fairly intense cell on the fringe of the eye wall there with Isaias, so we'll watch that carefully as it heads off to the west.
Jared, I'm not sure if you were able to hear this report earlier. I want to send it back to you. Tim Armstrong with the National Weather Service there in Wilmington, talking about the Spring-Made Pier in Myrtle Beach. Tidal observation was at 9.89 feet. That's the third highest on record, only behind Hurricane Hugo and Hurricane Matthew. So
wow,
you guys in Wilmington didn't get that, but just a little bit up the coast of Myrtle Beach, third highest recorded tide on record behind Matthew and Hugo at Spring-Made Pier in Myrtle Beach.
Tell you what, and the other thing too, I'm watching some tweets right now come in, and Levi Cowan is watching the Hurricane Hunter, Tropical Tidbits, a wonderful guy, watching the Hurricane Hunter thing, and it looks like the winds have increased to 85 to 90 miles per hour in the eastern eye wall.
Wow.
So this is strengthening. Eric Blake at the Hurricane Center also sent a tweet that says the radar and plane data shows that it's strengthening. He believes it's 85 miles an hour now. So
Yeah,
we
that looks pretty impressive looking at the radar data
yeah,
there. Seeing some, and the radar beam here is up in the air a bit. It's 3 or 4 thousand feet, but I'm seeing some 100 knot winds there. So
yeah.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the 100 knot inbounds. I mean, I'm telling you, that's as impressive as this has looked, and you know, we've got some. I mean, this just tells you just how lucky we were. We only saw 2 feet of additional storm tide in Charleston. It looks like, you know, looking at some of the preliminary data from the departures. So I mean, so for this to happen and to see these tide levels here, this is you know, not surprising. Again, you know, they're coming in, you know, square in. You know, the unfortunate combination of geography and you know, and the storms in the storm's forward motion, you know, setting it up. I can totally believe it. But I'll tell you what, you know, Hugo and Matthew, those are two non-slouch storms, and Isaias is clearly trying to join them.
Yes, indeed. I see that we have Evan Fisher with us. Evan, I know you are out doing some live reporting for us today. Tell us a little bit about your experience so far with ECS there in Charleston.
Yeah, so it looks like it's pretty much winding down now here in Charleston. Things have quieted down. Matter of fact, the sun came out a little bit even before sunset. So it's a lot different than it was earlier. But I started out the day by going out to Folly Beach. So I was out at Folly around 2 p.m. Some of the first bands, the heavier bands, some gusty winds were starting to roll through. And there was sustained winds around 20 to 25 miles an hour, gusting into the low to mid 30s. So a few gusts approaching tropical storm force, but nothing sustained. Some heavy rain, but then I decided to make my way back to downtown Charleston. I didn't know how much rain was going to be coming in. I didn't want to risk getting stuck off of the peninsula as streets began to flood. So I came back to downtown and ended up visiting and going down to the Battery. And at that point, the heaviest rains of the day were coming through downtown Charleston, and we were probably having winds gusting to about 44 miles an hour. I think it was one of the highest gusts I saw around here. And truthfully, Scotty, and I'm sure you and Jared have already discussed it, but it really was not that bad in downtown. I saw one small area of flooding on the Battery, and a few small limbs that were down. But I've seen worse in thunderstorms earlier this year. So we were lucky down here, and unfortunately now that it looks like Isaias is strengthening as it heads north, unfortunately other folks are not going to get quite as lucky. That's generally what I saw today in downtown Charleston.
We appreciate that. I'm not sure who was showing Google Earth there, but I want to toss it. Frank, let's do an update on this tornado warning, and then let's toss it. I think someone is tracking the hurricane hunters right now. I'm not sure who's doing that, but Frank, you want to go to tornado warning, and whoever was doing the hurricane hunters, we'll go to you next.
Well, I'm the guilty party for both right now. Hurricane or the tornado warning, I should say, up in Pender and Bladen counties. That goes another 3 minutes here. Rotation signature doesn't look as impressive as it did before. Maybe the Weather Service will let that just expire here shortly, but we will have to keep an eye on it. They might have to reissue a new warning. That's the only tornado warning we're dealing with at this point, and we'll keep an eye for some rotation signatures to show up in the coastal waters as well, but that's not looking terribly impressive at this point either. What is looking impressive is the wind field here on the east side. Wow, that again looks mighty impressive with winds in some areas over 100 knots, and that fairly low, only around 3,000 feet, where the beam is cutting through Isaias right now. So it could be some pretty high winds heading into coastal southeastern North Carolina before too much longer. And to a certain extent, it looks like that's being confirmed by the reconnaissance here. The hurricane hunters are picking up on some fairly strong winds out there. Let's see, that's at 10,000 feet, 76 knots. So that would it would be 80 to 85 mile an hour winds occurring in that area, and that is not even the strongest one that I see. Just click on another one there. There's 103 knots at about 10,000 feet. So Yeah, that would indicate potentially even stronger winds, maybe even over 90 miles an hour in that area, at least in gusts. So yeah, that's a pretty strong area of winds on the east
Hey,
side of Isaias, and it looks to be heading toward shore. So in a couple
Frank,
hours, it could get real bad there along the North Carolina coast.
Frank, we just got a report in from the National Weather Service in Wilmington. 87-mile-per-hour wind gusts at Frying Pan Shoals. That's kind of in that area that you were just showing there in the wind field.
Right.
So 87-mile-per-hour wind gusts there at Frying Pan Shoals as of 9:11 p.m. So
Right, and the strongest
definitely.
winds haven't even gotten to that area yet. The Frying Pan Shoals area. The hurricane hunters were up there earlier, flying around, and looks like they found some 60 to 65 knot winds in that area. But the heaviest or strongest winds are still south of there at this point. But moving in that general direction, so those winds could get even stronger.
Yes, sir. So I do see we have Dan Whitaker on with us. He is out in the elements right now. Dan, can you give us an idea of where you're at and what you're seeing?
Sure thing. I'm actually here in my vehicle right now. Can you see me okay?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Frank if he'll stop his screen share for just a second.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. There you
we'll
go.
Pop in.
There I am. Okay, great. So yeah, I am out here right now, just about 20 minutes north of Wilmington. The tornado warning that is occurring is kind of just to my off to my southwest a little bit, and the next kind of individual cell coming in on this band is actually about to hit me probably in about I would say maybe 3 minutes. So I'm right in front of it, and I'll just show you kind of what we're looking at right now. I'll step out so you can see. So we have some good rain coming down. It's a little bit breezy. We're noticing, it's a nice kind of warm breeze that you get with these systems. One of the things that's going on right now is I'm trying to find gasoline, and all of the gas stations I've stopped at are taped over or not allowing for people to get gas. So you can see right here, we've got some other cars sitting around, pulling up, looking for gasoline, and some of them are sitting and trying to kind of wait out this band of the storm that we're hitting, because it did get pretty nasty just a couple minutes ago, and it's only going to get worse. It's actually kind of whiteout conditions where while driving you can't even really see what's happening enough to want to slow the car down and pull over. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm just here kind of waiting for this next band to get through. I have some good light under these gas station lights, and I figure I'll see the rain and the wind come through. We'll see what happens.
Dan, can you tell us one more time where you're located at?
Say that one more time, Scotty.
What town are you in right now?
Let me check here. I am just north of Skipper's Corner. It would be what it's putting me on. And it actually shows me getting into this next kind of little isolated cell within the band here. Let me see if I can give you a more accurate town name. Rocky Point. I'm right in Rocky Point right now.
Yeah, so Skipper's Corner, for those who are not familiar, that's just north of Wilmington. That's going to be near Highway 133. That is a little close to where the circulation passed by the rotation just a little while ago that we are monitoring. So Dan Whitaker right now in Skipper's Corner, just outside of the Wilmington metro area. We do have April Thomas on with us, who is in Horry County. We'll get her on in just a second. I do want to kind of do one kind of roundtable here to let you know the tornado warning that we had been covering, that has been allowed to expire. So that tornado warning has finished up. So it is no longer. We do have a new storm surge report to come in out of the Johnny Mercer Pier in New Hanover County, 7.12 feet there as the storm surge. That is near Wrightsville Beach. So Johnny Mercer Pier pretty famous pier. A lot of people have heard about it there in Riceville Beach. 7.12 storm surge. Down at Springmaid Pier in Myrtle Beach, we had 9.89, which makes it the third highest tidal observation behind Hurricane Hugo and Hurricane Matthew. So we are starting to see some of that storm surge. Center of circulation is near the Georgetown Myrtle Beach area. Landfall probably in the next couple of hours, somewhere along the Grand Strand up towards the Southport Bald Head Island. Just also want to reiterate, we did have a confirmed tornado that did come ashore in Bald Head Island. A few damage reports out of that area, as well as the Emergency Operations Center having to take cover and actually hearing the tornado go by the building as they were in their shelter. So that's kind of just a recap of what's been going on over the last couple of hours as Hurricane Isaias looks like, from all observations from the hurricane hunters, is actually gaining strength as it moves closer to making landfall somewhere along the South Carolina and North Carolina line. Jared and Evan, you guys experienced Isaias earlier today. Thankful to report, though, no major issues in the Charleston area.
Yeah, absolutely. We were prepared for the worst, and thankfully that didn't happen here.
That's good news to hear. Just looking at some of the observations, Conway, South Carolina, there in kind of a central part of Horry County, reporting a wind gust of 33 miles per hour. So we do have some gustier winds inland as well. So we see Dan. Dan, I do hope that you find some gas there. That's kind of concerning. I think Jared and I, looking at each other in our little multi-box here, we kind of got big eyes when you said the gas pumps were closed off. That's not a good sign. So hopefully you can find some gas. So April, I don't know if you can hear me. If you can, we'll toss to you and kind of see what it's like there in Horry County.
Hi, guys.
Hi, this is
I can say it now.
We've all been struggling, that is for sure. For those who are watching, April, a friend of the show, she runs Horry County Rising. We did a show a couple weeks ago about the good work that she's doing there in Horry County. So she's been able to give us a few minutes of her time tonight to kind of give us an update of what's going on there in Horry County. So April, what's it like?
Pretty much dead on the forecast. Direct hit for the Grand Strand. We're seeing a lot of coastal flooding and coastal erosion and flash flooding. That's the big story here. The wind is picking up a little bit here inland, and we're seeing some good gusts along Grand Strand. But yeah, it's definitely not a good night to go for a Sunday stroll.
And so what were preparations like? We've been monitoring this system over the last week or so. What was it like there in Horry County getting ready for this? As at first we didn't know exactly where it was going. Then we kind of had a good agreement of where this storm would track. So what's it been like over the last couple of days getting ready for the hurricane?
Well, I think the biggest change just in the forecast in the last 30 to 36 hours was that storm surge forecast that changed a little bit slightly. So obviously, the county was out trying to do some temporary berms to help with some of the coastal erosion, but we're seeing a lot of impacts in low-lying areas, places like Little River, Garden City, Myrtle Inlet, Polly. So, we're definitely seeing the water come up quite a bit. So getting ready. The wind's picking up here in Conway. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm outside. But yeah, I think mostly, families have just been really trying to do everything they can to hunker down and protect themselves against flooding, which is a little challenging, but we're pretty fortunate with this event. We don't think our rivers are going to reach major flood stage. Isaias is moving pretty quickly. It's not been some of these past experiences where we've gotten these real big rain bombs, as I call them. But we're definitely seeing a lot of flash flooding. We're getting heavy rainfall in a very rapid period of time. So right now, I would say stay off South Carolina roads on the coast because they are in absolutely horrific condition right now.
April, I want to get back to you for just a second, but Evan Fisher, we've got a new update out from the Hurricane Center.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just got a new update at 9 p.m. That has bumped see us up to still a Category 1, but 85-mile-an-hour sustained wind. So as we've been talking about over the past 15 minutes, this thing is rapidly strengthening. The Hurricane Hunter's plane found a central pressure of 988 millibars, which is the lowest we've seen it in at least a couple of days, if not more. But they're still in the storm, sampling it. It's entirely possible that the storm will continue to intensify through landfall over the next couple of hours. So we're thankful that it's going to run out of ocean in about 2 hours, but nonetheless, it's still got 2 hours to play with, and that's not something to be joked about. So it's a concerning look for sure.
Yeah, so 85 mile per hour now wind gusts there in ECES. See, I still get tongue tied. Jared, do you have something to add there?
Remember a couple of days ago, Frank Alzheimer, the Science and Operations Officer at Columbia, he sent out a tweet and said, I'm a little worried about rapid intensification as it, approaches the Carolinas, because, the shear is going to go parallel to the the shear vector is going to, go a little more parallel to the storm motion. And the waters are extremely warm. And unfortunately, this is bearing out. We are certainly in a period of RI with this storm. And I got to tell you, as Evan said, it's a very good thing we're running out of ocean, because it's getting together and it's getting good, and it's getting good upper air support too. It's being vented very nicely. And like, this is, this is just terrible, because, you go into it yesterday and it's like, okay, yeah, decaying tropical storm. And now Isaias has one more trick up his sleeve.
Yeah, it's 2020. What would we expect from this year? New report, 93 mile per hour wind gusts now out at Frying Pan Tower there at Frying Pan Shoal. So 93 mile per hour wind gusts out. I think it's about 25 miles off the coast of North Carolina. So to kind of just give you a heads up with that. April, you had mentioned something earlier. In fact, we actually shared the story out on some of our social media outlets. Horry County actually making some homemade berms there along the beach to kind of help the surge and coastal erosion there. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, yeah. Obviously crews went out there and tried to push up some sand in some of the areas where it's known to flood. We see a lot of erosion there anyways, and obviously it inundates the infrastructure and the roads and contributes to a lot of the coastal flooding. And then obviously connectivity is an issue later. So putting in those berms, as a good friend of mine, Gilbert Gall, likes to say, it's Botox for the beach. So, sometimes you need a little lift, but those breached very quickly. The storm surge came in very, very quickly. Really, actually kind of incredible to see how quickly it came in. So that sand will become part of the infrastructure tomorrow and people will be driving on it. But, it's going to be messy. There's going to be a lot of cleanup, a lot of sand removal. Not good situation. And going into, we're not even in peak hurricane season yet, and we're already having significant erosion. So, it's very concerning. Obviously, from a sustainability perspective, it's just not a great way to deal with storm surge and inundation, kind of like what we're seeing right now. But it's definitely worth the try. So.
We definitely appreciate you joining us, April. If you want to stick around, you can. If you need to get back, that is perfectly fine. I do want to go back to Dan Whitaker, who is out in the field. He is just north of Wilmington, near Skipper's Corner. Dan, what are you seeing out there?
Okay, so I am continuing my quest for gasoline and also getting closer and closer to the coast. I am currently just probably 15 miles outside of Wilmington, and the rain's coming in decent, but I'd say there's some cooling on the roads, and it is definitely hard to find gasoline. I've gone by at least 3 gas stations that have saran wrapped their pumps so you can't get to them, and they've also turned them off, and with the goals of protecting their pumps, I imagine, for the most part. But it is interesting seeing people trying to get gas, and I think everyone's kind of in the same hunt that I am. Fortunately, I'm not really low on gas, but I'm just in anticipation of my next 12 hours, and it looks like I finally found a working gas station. There's always one.
That is good. Well, Dan, we'll let you get some gas. That's very vital. So we'll let you get some gas, and we'll come back to you here in just a minute. Just kind of reset it. It's almost 9:30, August the 3rd, 2020. We are monitoring Hurricane Isaias as it approaches the Grand Strand in southeast North Carolina. As of 9 o'clock, winds have been bumped up to 85 miles per hour, making this still a Category 1 hurricane, but there are indications that it's continuing to strengthen as it makes its final approach to landfall. Jared Smith, we have been monitoring this on radar. What's it looking like? Where's the center located right now, and when's anticipated landfall?
Yeah, I'm getting a look at this right now, and I think whatever it certainly seems to me that it might be trying to form a little bit of an eye wall as well. Seeing some enhanced reflectivity coming into view now, just south of Southport here. Center is looks roughly around George. Let me pull some velocity too. It looks like it's roughly around Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, just outside of, just off the coast of the Grand Strand. It looks like the landfall is going to. It really does appear that the landfall is going to be very close to the South Carolina North Carolina border. Perhaps just to the west of Southport. We'll see. Again, we'll see how this evolves here. But it looks like again, getting it. Let's get it back in motion here, and we can see the. That's headed for Southport, guys. That's I'll say that for sure. That is headed for Southport. So, it's. Frank has been looking at some of the velocities earlier, and we were seeing, 110 knot inbounds into the radar there. So certainly some very, very strong winds being mixed down to the surface now. 85 miles an hour could be conservative as this continues to strengthen. So definitely, in the next hour or two, Southport, Wilmington, in that neck of the woods, New Hanover County is looks like you're going to be right ground zero for Isaias.
We appreciate that. And speaking of ground zero, April, you find yourself there in Horry County. Your conditions really starting to get pretty bad there in the area as the center of circulation is passing pretty close. I believe you said you're located in Conway. Last observation out at the Conway weather station had a wind gust of 35 miles per hour. So even inland, we're getting tropical storm force winds, at least wind gusts, and heavy rain, saturated soil. Definitely some trees could come down. What's it like there in Conway?
It's very wet. We're getting a lot of rainfall bands, very heavy rain, a lot of flash flooding conditions. And then obviously some pretty good wind gusts, but I'll take 33 over 85 any day, especially with the saturated ground. That's when we start to see a lot of power outages. Last time I checked, we only had about 150 kind of near Briar Cliffs, which is along the coast. So far, this is really a flash flooding event. Flash flooding and coastal flooding. Those are the impacts that we're seeing here in Horry. Obviously, we got a couple hours to go, but we did have one tornado warning in the Lawns and Loris area, but no confirmed tornado. The only confirmed tornado was just north of us. So yeah, I agree with the assessment about, this looks like it's going to make direct impact on that border.
Speaking of tornadoes, great segue there. We have a new tornado warning issued out for Washington County, Northwest Hyde County, West Central Terrell County, and Eastern North Carolina. This will go for until 10 p.m., so another 30 minutes or so. Not sure if anybody has radar pulled up there, if they want to kind of cover this warning. Sorry, I was reading the text I think someone's getting the radar up there. So this is going to be in eastern North Carolina. This is going to be out of the Morehead City office. So this is closer to the Outer Banks, far eastern North Carolina, there between the two sounds. Again, Washington, Terrell, and Hyde County. So, Frank, I think that's your radar. Am I correct? We got you on mute, Frank.
There we go. Now you can hear me.
All right, I'll let you take it, and I'm going to go grab a bottle of water because I'm out.
Okay. Well, we are dealing with a new tornado warning until 10 o'clock. It looks as though the cell that's prompted it is this one down here in the northern part of Hyde County. That's northwest of Fairfield. Pretty good rotation showing up. This is somewhat distant from the radar, so we're not getting the best view of it that we would like to have, but nonetheless, concern there for a possible tornado spin up in that area as rotation is showing up. This heading off to the northwest or north-northwest, so it looks as though it mainly goes over rural areas close to the Washington and Terrell County line. But those of you up in Caswell and along Highway 64 west toward Roper, that eventually heads your way. You got a little bit of time to prepare that far north, but you will want to start to take your tornado precautions if you're closer to this cell and eventually in the Roper to Caswell area. Move to an interior room and get yourself set up if you have a helmet. Bicycle helmet, motorcycle helmet, or something like that. That's a good thing to have handy, and be dressed for it if you have some time as well. If you still have a little bit of time to work with, like up along 64, put on some hard sole shoes and some long sleeves and long pants in case you have to step out briefly and survey your property. There will be debris, and you don't want to step on nails and sticks and boards sticking up and things like that. So be dressed for the occasion tonight if you have to be dealing with events like that. Again, tornado warning till 10 for parts of Terrell, Hyde, and Washington counties.
Yeah, Frank, so I'm going to pull up another graphic real quick while we wait for Scotty to come back and show kind of what the National Weather Service is thinking for maximum wind gusts this evening and into tonight. Now, this is going to be on the low side because obviously we're seeing a rapidly strengthening hurricane. Sustained winds are now up to 85 miles an hour, and this graphic that I'm showing you, the NWS, is kind of idea of maximum wind gusts over the next 24 hours. This shows a maximum value of 89 miles an hour. So I think it's entirely feasible that we could add 10 to 15 miles an hour to some of these maximum wind gusts that you're seeing here on the screen as the storm barrels to the north and east. But those areas that are shaded in the oranges and the browns and even to that wider kind of pinkish color, that's where we're going to see the strongest wind. I would expect to see an update to this graphic shortly. I believe that National Weather Service is obviously keeping up with the hurricane hunters and with the National Hurricane Center. So they're well aware that 85 miles an hour is the new sustained winds in this hurricane. But generally that area from I-95 and just to the east, that's where we're going to see those strongest winds throughout the night. Probably pushing up into the Triad area, some of the strongest impacts there by 2 a.m. So everyone in eastern North Carolina and even in Virginia, if we have anyone watching there, needs to be on guard all throughout the night and into even the early morning hours. Back to you, Scotty.
All right, thank you for that, Evan. I appreciate that. We are continuing to monitor Hurricane Isaias as it continues to move towards the coastal areas. I did want to report just vaguely, we did have a couple of wind damage reports outside of the Raleigh area. So we are actually seeing tropical storm force wind gusts that far inland with some downed trees in that area. So we continue to monitor that as well. Not sure if we've updated the tornado warning recently, but we can do that if we want. Yeah, get over here to the weather chat. This again is for Hyde, Terrell, and Washington counties. This goes until 10 p.m. Frank, did you have that radar up?
Yes, I did, and still have it going here. It looks as though over relatively rural areas right now, but nonetheless heading northwestward, and eventually it can get up to the area along US 64, including the Roper and Caswell areas. So if you are over far northern Hyde County and into Washington and Terrell counties, the far western part of Terrell counties, you are at risk at this point and should move indoors to your safe spot, with as many or I should say walls as possible between yourself and the outside. And again, things like wearing a helmet would be a good idea. A bicycle helmet is better than nothing. A motorcycle helmet's good. Batting helmet, a baseball helmet's good enough as well to help provide you some additional protection. And again, dress for the event. You don't want to be wearing shorts and flip-flops in this situation. Hard sole shoes, some good solid boots would be something to wear instead, and long pants and long sleeves in this situation in case you have to step outside briefly and survey your damage. You don't want to step on any debris that could cause you some harm that way.
Starting to get some ominous reports now out of southern Horry County into Georgetown County. There in Georgetown County near Garden City, reports of roof blown off of a structure at this time. This is being reported by Georgetown County Emergency Management. They're also reporting a dune breach from storm surge with knee-deep water on Waccamaw Drive in Garden City. So the Garden City community there in Georgetown County, this is kind of southern Horry County into northern Georgetown County. Those areas are starting to see some wind damage and some storm surge, and that's going to be kind of getting the ragged eye that we have right now. That's kind of getting in those inner bands. So definitely could see some significant damage down in that area. Also, report of some storm surge flooding reaching the parking lot of Sea Captain House in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's being reported in Myrtle Beach as well. So storm surge starting to become an issue. Garden City, Surfside Beach, up into Myrtle Beach. And we're also getting some wind damage reports now out of Garden City in Georgetown County, South Carolina. Want to go back, and April, we don't want to keep you all night. We know you've got your family, but we'll kind of give you one more last update there from Conway. It looks like the outer bands of the eye wall is moving into Horry County now. What's things looking like there in inland Horry County?
We've gotten a lot of rain in a very short period of time. So about 4 inches really rapidly. So a lot of our tributaries, canals, creeks are starting to really see a lot of flash flooding impacts. So lots of roads are going to be closed likely until the water dissipates. So right now the winds died down. We're just seeing really heavy rain bands coming through Conway. So yeah, we'll see a lot of flash flooding over the next few hours, pretty certain. But so far the wind is not too bad here. So we're fortunate with that in this event. But definitely, yeah, the Garden City, Cherry Grove, Little River, Murrells Inlet, Georgetown, along Hog Inlet and Little River. There's going to be a lot of coastal flooding, a lot of coastal erosion, storm surge there. So, those are really the two significant impacts that we're seeing here. So definitely good night to stay at home, hunker down. And thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, definitely stay in touch. Stay safe. We'll stay in touch. I'm sure we'll probably record a little something for Wednesday night show. So we may try to reach back out to you in the next days to kind of get a recap of what's taking place there and what you've seen. You do a lot of great work there in Horry County with the Horry County Rising Project and helping homeowners out who experience flooding from events like this. So we know that you'll be busy probably over the next few weeks, as hopefully we won't see too much river flooding, but if we do, we know you'll be out there advocating for the folks, and we appreciate your time, and we hope you and your family stay safe.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, this is not really the exciting part of the event. It's usually after the event where I go to work. So thanks for all you guys do too, and stay safe.
Thank you, April. We appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Talking of Georgetown, the airport out there reporting a 50-mile-per-hour wind gust here in the last couple of minutes there. So again, we got some reports of some wind damage in Garden City. So guys, it looks like We've got some of those bands starting to move back into places north of Wilmington. That would be for Pender and Onslow County, as the center of circulation is really starting to close in along the Grand Strand up into the southeastern portions of North Carolina.
Yeah, Scotty, I'd love to take it for a second, and I'm going to throw
Sure.
up. James has the radar up, so we can stick with that radar. But this eye wall has rapidly organized over the last 20 to 30 minutes. It looked kind of ragged as it was approaching the beach, but suddenly, just in the last 20 to 30 minutes, it has come together and is looking quite formidable. It's rapidly approaching and will be in locations such as Oak Island, Sunset Beach, and Southport over the next 15 to 20 minutes. So if you are on one of those those barrier islands out there, now is the time. The worst of it is getting ready to hit. So please be inside. Now is not the time to be outside checking out the storm surge. I promise you it is there and it is rising quickly. Yeah, so that I just want to update that eye wall has really come together, and that's a concerning look for an intensifying hurricane.
Yes, indeed. Just looking at what we're seeing on radar, the eye wall is definitely coming ashore there from areas around North Myrtle Beach eastward all the way over to Southport right now. And the wind velocities have really picked up over the last 30 to 60 minutes in the eye wall there. So the worst of it is looking to be spreading over that area right now and spreading northward through Brunswick and into New Hanover counties here over the next 30 minutes. So as you said, definitely not the time to be outdoors. It looks like a time to hunker down.
Scotty, I believe you're on mute.
Water's wet and Scotty's on mute.
I am. That's the third time, man. I was so good at this last couple of times and not having myself muted when I was talking. But anyways, Dan Whitaker, I hope you've got some gas. What's things looking like where you are?
Yeah, I found some gas. It looks like there's a couple of places that are offering it out here. Actually in Wilmington now. I'm about in center Wilmington. And I'm pulled over at a house that some people I know offer me to come by, and they have what they call my command center, so I can use it to do pit stops and whatnot. But my next stop is actually out towards the body of water, either the Sound or the canal, or the if I can get across the bridge over to the coast of Caswell Beach. So we'll see what things are going, but the wind is definitely picking up. The rain's picking up as well. We're starting to see more of, just in the last few minutes, some of the sideways gusting rain, and where it's, kind of thinner, mistier drops that are blowing with the wind. If you're driving or if you're outside, it's to the point of almost blinding right now. It does make a difficult time driving. So if you're in these areas, now's the time to kind of hunker down. That's kind of what we're seeing. Fortunately, not many people on the road right now. So.
All right. Well, Dan, we appreciate that.
Surge and as the flooding increases, I know some places around here that I use kind of as hot spots for to gauge when the flooding's actually getting worse and starting to run over the roads and whatnot. So I imagine we'll be seeing some of that fairly soon.
We appreciate that, Dan. Stay safe out there. Let us know how things are going. Jared, anything that you see out there that's kind of catching your eye?
Well, I mean, we have that eye wall that's approaching Southport very quickly, very rapidly here, organizing very quickly, as Evan said. And that is, I'm going to sample the velocities in that sucker. And I'll tell you, we're seeing, about 1,700 feet up, we're seeing, 114 mile an hour winds inbound to the radar. So just to give you a general idea of how quickly this seems to be getting its act together. And I'll tell you what, it is such a good thing that we're running out of water because this is nasty. I mean, I just don't know that there's any other way to put it. But let me, I'm going to take my screen full real quick. It may be a little slow, but I've got the velocity data up here. I just got to show this to y'all. This is absolutely insane. Let me get that. Share that. Give me just a second here. This always takes a second, but I want to show everybody kind of like what I'm looking at here. So you see the screen share. So again, one thing to keep in mind is that, again, when we're thinking about radar, we have the warm colors and the cool colors. You have the warm colors, which are going away from the radar like that. And then you have the cool colors, which are going into the radar like that. So those are your inbounds and those are your outbounds. And your center of circulation is somewhere in here. That's just generally somewhere in here. And it looks like it's taking a northward tack right there. So again, this is, this is going to be, let me see, how do I clear that? There we go. All right, clear all drawing. There we go, perfect. So we just got a new frame there. Let me exit the annotator here, switch back to this. And I'll show you all what I'm looking at here. So if I hit Control, if it will let me do that. So let's sample some of the data here. And again, this is about 1,900 feet up, 115, 112 miles an hour, just running right into that radar. And so if you think about what's getting closer to the ground now, so let's, the radar site is not very far from here. Let's see if we can't sample that. It's being a little slow on me right now, but it's, that's showing if it's 60 miles an hour. That's pretty respectable, and that's going to come down also in gusts. So again, that eye wall is coming closer in, is headed right for Southport. It's about to go down there. I mean, just to, for the lack of a better term. About to see some serious stuff. We have a gust of 44 at the Brunswick County Airport right now at their mesonet station. Let's see what we see. We have a gust to 35 at the Sunny Point mesonet station. So, and again, some of this stuff may be a little lagged, little delayed. The Sunny Point station was from 918 and certainly is probably getting a whole heck of a lot more now. So again, we have, we're in for a harrowing hour or two here in Southport as the eye of Isaias. Yeah, I got that right? Isaias, there we go. Yeah. Just not good at it. It's gonna get there, and it's going to be, it's going to be a pretty wild ride for the short term.
It really is, and I see that we have James Brierton with this. James, you've been monitoring behind the scenes. Anything that's kind of sticking out to you? He's on mute too.
I'm also wearing 2 headsets.
It's contagious.
Yeah, we've been monitoring social media here in the control room, and here's a picture from Horry County Police beginning to show us that storm surge that's flooding on over to the roadways, along the coast, but again, also watching those urban areas and along inland waterways. This one right here showing us near Garden City where water is covering certain areas. Beach Access 11, Sunset Drive is now completely inaccessible. Not that you should have been trying to assess it beginning anyway. Let's take a look at a couple other pictures here. We can see some video in from eyewitnesses and storm chasers showing us those waves just beginning to beat the shoreline. And we heard April talking about the preventative measures they've taken by adding extra sand. Well, this is why, because every extra they add will give them that much more resilience against these very powerful waves seen here in Myrtle Beach that are now going to be causing some pretty significant beach erosion in places. Some video from Jason Boyer at WLOS in Cherry Grove, South Carolina, a little bit earlier. He posted this video taken by Myra Taylor Morgan. You can see the pier there and all the waves and the winds, and you've heard the governor talk about it. They've got crews on standby, including these power crews that were captured by someone who thought they were going on a vacation. So as they said in their text here, you may want to second guess when you're heading the same direction as the emergency power crews. And I'll just go ahead and second that. Guys, back to you.
Thank you for that. James, I do want to mention that the tornado warning that we were talking about earlier has since been canceled. There is a few special marine warnings out there that we'll continue to monitor as well. Looking at some of the weather station reports, there's a 38 mile per hour wind gust there in North Myrtle Beach. looking at some further inland, this is over the Elizabethtown area. This is in more inland North Carolina. They're even seeing wind gusts up to 25, 30 miles per hour. So we're seeing these gusts far inland as well as this storm continues to make landfall again, closing in landfall probably in the next couple of hours. And still, I'm seeing some lightning on some of these outer bands, and that just continues to tell us that it's strengthening as it's on its journey to make landfall. And Jared, correct me, Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, but we kind of saw this with Hannah as well. Back in Texas, it kind of gained strength as it was heading towards the land.
Yeah, it did. Kind of just at the last minute, decided to wind up and become much more intense. Just as it was heading toward landfall, and that's what Isaias is doing for us tonight. Looking at some of the observations using the Meso-West site, this one sticks out here. The buoy 41013 with a 65 mile an hour gust there, and 41024, that one short distance offshore with a 51 mile an hour gust too. Up toward the Wrightsville Beach area, they're gusting 49 miles an hour, well into the 40s in some of the offshore buoys there. Less intense gusts so far in some of these areas that are a little ways inland, but I think that's likely going to change soon because, again, that eye wall's moving ashore. The leading edge of that is passing over the radar near Charlotte now and pushing northward. It looks as though before long we may actually finally see landfall. Isaias' eye looks like it's only maybe 10 to 15 miles offshore at this point.
Yeah, Frank, bear with me for just a second. I'm working Twitter on my phone. Good source of information for Horry County is Carolina Scanner on Twitter. They are reporting North Myrtle Beach. It sounds crazy. Unable to get fire trucks in. People are being evacuated into high water vehicles. This is in North Myrtle Beach. So again, high water water rescues ongoing right now. I imagine there's probably these big Army, I don't want to say tanks, but it's kind of like they carry the materials in, and we kind of see these in these situations. So probably some of those armored vehicles in there helping folks get out of this area, North Myrtle Beach, that there's high water being reported. Pawleys Island, Georgetown, South Carolina reporting high water across the roadways. Both causeways are closed down, so you can't get out of Georgetown now because of the causeways being shut down. Looking through, rescues were dispatched to a sinking vehicle call in floodwater on Carolina Forest Boulevard. This is just off 501. I'm going to tweet that out on our Carolina weather group. You can see there's a car submerged in floodwater. So again, to reiterate, turn around, don't drown. You definitely don't want to be a stat in these situations where we see people drive through flooded roadways. Let's see. Yeah, there's the picture right there. So you can see that car submerged. Getting an alarm in my ear from the weather service. Let's see.
Tornado warning.
Have a new tornado warning for Brunswick, Columbus, New Hanover, and Pender County until 10:30. So this is going to be coming across near Wilmington. This is with that band that had that special Marine statement out. This is going to include the Wilmington metro area. So James, we can probably get one of our cameras dialed up there in Wilmington to kind of monitor this, but this is going to be a new tornado warning, not populated yet out on our radar programs, but as soon as it is, we'll get it.
I've got it, Scotty.
Okay, go ahead, Frank.
All right, let me get the screen shared here. And there's your tornado warning, and it looks like deja vu from earlier, actually. The storm, the main area of concern is close to Silver Lake down here. That's where we see a velocity couplet here with a strong outbound close to strong inbound. And this is racing off to the north. Those of you in Silver Lake, you should immediately take your tornado precautions and move to an interior room. Wilmington, looks like this is going to pass very close to you, or once again, maybe just west like the one earlier today did. Leland and Navassa, once again, it looks like you could be under the gun as well. So that's the area to watch. And the tornado warning here will be running until 10:30. Scotty?
Thank you for that. Another thing, we were just talking about flooding, just it comes to mind. Don't walk through these flooded roadways or either, because you don't know, there could be down power lines. There could be all kinds of debris floating in this water that could cause issues. So not only don't drive through flooded roadways, but the Horry County Police Department is also encouraging you, do not walk through this flooded water just because we don't know what's in it. So another reminder there. Jared, it looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, not only is it power lines and potential parasites and ringworm and things like that, but also one technique that municipalities use to determine the state of play in pandemic is to test the water for COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, and Horry County has been Horry County has been one of those spots that's seen increased numbers there. So we'll keep that in mind. But we're going to monitor this tornado warning as it continues. Frank, I think you've got to put up on radar.
And also, Scotty, I do have it up on screen from the University of Wilmington weather stem camera, which was bouncing pretty good there in the winds a moment ago. Whether that was winds associated with the tropical band, we couldn't say for sure, but it is in that general metro area, and you can see it in the bottom right-hand of your screen. Let's go over to Frank for a radar analysis.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Like I said, it looks like it's doing a lot like what the earlier tornado warning did in this area. It's passed just to the west of Silver Lake, right along the New Hanover, Brunswick County line. And once again, it looks like this is headed toward the interchange between Highway 17 and Highway 74, Leland and Navassa, and heading on to the northwest from there. So if you were under the tornado warning earlier and were being called out for the area of greatest risk, well, you're basically in it again. So here we go again. And those of you in those areas need to take your tornado precautions right now. This is a very fast-moving storm cell because, again, it's embedded in a hurricane band. So the steering flows very fast, carrying these potentially tornadic cells very fast. You don't have much reaction time here. So get to your safe precautions now. Move to that interior room right now.
Yeah, we're James, I'm going to retweet a video from Ethan Clark. He was supposed to join us tonight. He's in Ocean Isle, but internet outage there. But he does have some cell phone video of some wind gusts there. That's you can kind of see what's going on there. So maybe we can share that here in the next little bit. But again, this tornado warning continuing. This is for the Wilmington metro area. So there's a very populated area that needs to be in your safe place. Again, lowest level, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Goggles is a good recommendation to keep any debris out of your eyes from flying into your eyes. Make sure that you have some sort of helmet or head protection there to keep you from any flying debris. Here, Ethan has a beach home here on the coast. You can kind of hear the wind blowing here. He's located close to where we could see landfall here over the next hour or so in southeastern North Carolina. So again, would not be surprised to see further warnings issued as another band is going to be coming on shore in Pender County over the next few minutes here. So Topsail Island, Surf City, North Topsail, be mindful of that. Over towards Wrightsville Beach and Kirkland, you'll want to be mindful of that. Again, getting a report out of the weather, Myrtle Beach International Airport, wind gust of 41 miles per hour as the winds are now coming out of the northwest. So that tells me that the circulation has passed. Let's see, is it passing? I'm trying to think of orientation in my mind. It would be, it would be on the backside of the hurricane. So that's a good observation there. They're in Myrtle Beach. So again, a 41 mile per hour wind gust, pressure rapidly falling at 9:56. So this was just about 5 minutes ago with that wind gust there in Myrtle Beach. So go ahead, Jared.
I'm getting a look at the radar data too. Let me share radar scope here just to show you what I'm seeing here. And I've got this set up to where you can kind of see every little thing that the radar is detecting, which is helpful in this situation. It looks like, so a couple things to note. One, we have the eye wall coming ashore now at Bald Head and Oak Island. And it looks like, and it looks like that eye wall is actually developing quite nicely. I know there's some beam blockage issues there too. So with KLTX, so that is something that we have to keep in mind there. But you can see that eye wall clearing that beam blockage there in North Myrtle Beach and Sunset Beach. It looks like we are pretty close to landfall here, and it looks like it's going to be right at the border. And let me so you can see that, there's your here's your circular, here's your storm right here, right there it is. So and this guy, he is looking like Little River. This is going to pass very close to the KLTX radar site, actually. So so again, by far the worst of it is over here in Oak Island. I'll take the velocities full, and you should be able to see my cursor here. Can you see the data that I'm highlighting?
Yes.
105, 111.
Yeah. So suffice to say, and again, this is a little high up. This is about 1,500 feet up, but this is some pretty serious wind, and these are mixing down in gusts, and this is what's coming ashore now, and making for quite a wild ride up towards Oak Island, Bald Head right now. Going to be very interesting to see what the observations look like out of those near those areas here pretty shortly. This is not far from Wilmington. This is once Wilmington clears this band, then the eye wall is next. So not going to be an easy ride in Wilmington for now. And eventually down the road, this eye wall is going to head into Bolton, Kelly, in other places. So this is not going to be an easy couple hours here. So again, taking it wide, and you can see there's that eye. It's basically just hugging the coast there at this point. So and the tornado warning continues. It has been observed. It's a confirmed tornado now. While I have the radar up, let's take a look there. So there's your velocity couplet right there, right over Leland, right there. Let me zoom way in there. So there's your velocity couplet. Let me switch to correlation coefficient. Yep, sure enough, look at that. We have a debris signature right here. That lowering of the correlation coefficient, definitely a debris signature there. So if you're in Leland, there is likely a tornado on the ground doing damage right now. Certainly seems to be the case, and this is headed northwest. It's going to miss northwest, but it is headed in that general direction here. Let's put the CC into motion just to see. Let's see when the debris begins to show up. Looks like it. Yeah, it showed up. It looks like it came. It came right out of. Let's see here, right through Belleville and now into Leland. So you can see the evolution of that debris signature. So yeah, it's there's a tornado down right now.
Yes, so that's something we're going to have to monitor as well. Was looking through. So many alarms going off in my ear. We got.
What you heard there, Scotty, was confirmed tornado. That tornado, I think the one that we're looking at near Phoenix,
at 60 miles per hour.
Yeah,
that is hauling.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
That is going to be. If you're in that polygon, you have no time. You need to be in your storm place right now. That's just on the northern end of Wilmington. In fact, I have the Google Maps still pointed up from that area from a previous tornado warning we had. So this is going to be North Brunswick High School, Waterford, Bellevue, over towards Port City Outdoors. There's a food line along Highway 76. We're going to see the Northwest District Park, Highland Paving, Malamo, Compass Point housing area, Delco, also in that area. So if you are in this area just outside of Leland, this is also going to be, let's see, give you some roadways here. Interstate 140, this is kind of the outer loop of Interstate 40, Mount Misery Road. That kind of correlates with what's going on right now. Cedar Hill Road Northeast, again, Highway 1426, Highway 74, Sandy Creek. So if you live in that vicinity, you need to be in your storm place. Storm shelter, lowest level, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible.
We'll have to wait to see if they redraw that polygon, continue it, because 60 miles an hour, it's certainly moving pretty good, but we've seen some tropical spin-ups that can come and go pretty quickly. So with this one on the ground.
Yeah, and they did just redraw the polygon to remove Wilmington proper. So Wilmington proper, you're out. It's Leland and points northwest, not including the town of Northwest. This is moving very quickly. Tropical tornadoes. This is what they do. They spin up, they drop, they do some damage, and they go right back up. And they move very fast doing it. And so, in these kinds of situations, you see, I have the loop up. I mean, this is just hauling. I mean, this is absolutely hauling butt. So again, when you get that warning, you got to move very quickly into your storm shelter. Interior room, lowest floor, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And wait for the all clear. The good news is with tropical tornadoes is that the all clear usually comes pretty quick. And and just as soon as it spins up, we start to see perhaps that debris, that velocity couplet is looking a lot less pronounced than that last scan there. Let me go to correlation coefficient and see where we are with the debris signature. So that debris signature is definitely there. It's spreading out pretty nicely. This is getting a little broader. Set the correlation coefficient into motion, and you can see the and we'll just you'll be able to see when the debris signature pops up, and it pops up right as it goes through Leland there. And this is and again, this is heading northwest at 60 miles per hour. So yeah, so there's definitely debris. I'm not sure if this is fallout or if this is still a tornado that is active. The velocity couplet is looking a little less impressive. Give you a general idea of just how fast this is going. The radar is in sales mode, and it's going around. We're getting a new scan about every 70 seconds. So this is about 3 minutes or so. And so when I tilt up, the tornado was, well, now it's back there, but the circulation was back before Leland. To give you a general idea of just how fast this was, the radar has gone around 4 times, and the velocity couplet, and the velocity couplet ended up right here. So, but tilting up with the radar a little bit, starting to see less of a sign that couplet is there. It is. We'll need to see if that tornado is still doing its thing. You should operate as if it is, and remain in shelter until you hear the all clear. But because this could very easily circle right back up.
James, I've got some things coming towards you on Twitter. We got a storm surge report out of Cherry Grove of looks like pretty significant storm, and then I've sent you an internal link. If we could dial up the.
Well, I got something on the screen right now that I want to let people know what they're looking at. This is the surf check camera at Oak Island.
Okay, that's what I was telling
you. This is right there,
yes.
On the water, and you can just see the force of that wind, that hurricane force wind. We're looking straight down the pier. This camera may pan, tilt, turn, zoom in. We don't have any control over it, and it's getting a lot of views right now, so it keeps disconnecting, but it is just whipping that camera right there at Oak Island, and wanted to show you that as we're continuing to monitor that active tornado warning outside of Wilmington as well, too. I mean, we're really closing that gap for where this landfall could be here, guys, the next little bit.
Yeah, it excuse me. It definitely looks like it's going to be happening soon. Can we get yeah, Jared, you've got that up. Let's kind of sample the winds there at Oak Island, kind of see what we may necessarily not see down at the surface, but what's aloft.
So again, we're looking at 1,000 feet up, 75 miles an hour, hurricane force. And again, just offshore again, going same height, actually, 100 miles an hour. Not too far off. So again, these are very strong winds making it to the surface. Holden Beach, this is 500 feet up. We got 92 mile an hour inbounds. So that translates pretty well. That'll probably translate pretty well to 85, 90 miles an hour to the surface. Whether in gusts or sustained, we'll need some, surface obs to tell us that. But no, these are no joke. This eye wall went from nothing to something in very short order, and this is a very, very nasty situation developing for Holden Beach and Oak Island and Bald Head.
Mark Weinberg on Twitter. Pressure is down to 983.7 millibars, latest recon pass. That is down over 4 millibars since the 9 p.m. advisory. He's saying this thing is strengthening quickly.
Yeah, that is whew. I mean, it was 993 at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, so we're down 10 almost 10 millibars.
Yeah,
amazing. Oh man, so let's go back up to this tornado warning. Looks like the circulation or rotation there not as defined, and Jared and Frank has alluded to over the night these quick spin ups. Tropical tornadoes, they spin up and they can spin right back down, within a radar frame or two. So nothing too crazy there, at least not in my opinion, guys. What do you see? Maybe something a little out of Sandy Creek, but that's about it.
Yeah, I suspect that what we're seeing at this point is the rotation there's gradually falling apart. Too soon to say that it's time to cancel the warning, but it certainly doesn't look all that impressive on radar anymore. The velocity couplet just doesn't look all that great. And the debris signature is still there, but that might well be fallout or even just poor reflectivity in that area. The areas where we have stronger reflectivity, you don't really see the